What's up, YouTube? It's the Action Figure Grader. Today we are going to take a look at loose, complete, vintage Star Wars action figures. I've got a few bootlegs as well that sold here recently. And, I've got some creatures, I got some play sets, got some vehicles all over the map. Some of you despise grading, and that's okay. So this is what these videos are for, these loose, complete videos, for those of you that just like to collect loose figures and add to your collection. And I tried to do a pretty wide assortment of price points, not just the really rare stuff, but some stuff that sold that I thought looked really clean and would give you an idea of what to look for in terms of price point. Lots of Last 17 also sold at an auction. So without further ado, let's go ahead and dig in. The first one is a Creature Cantina playset. So this is complete with the backdrop, the base, the doors, and this is, in my opinion, from 1979. This was a pretty awesome playset. And I didn't have this one growing up. It kind of came out before my time. I was only 2 years old at the time. But there's something about this that really speaks to me for the vintage Star Wars playset line. And, it harkens back to an era where kids had to kind of use their imagination and, kind of come up with their own dialogue, their own scenes. And, just everything about this playset is just pretty awesome. And I've always loved it. This one sold, it's loose complete, $125. So pretty good price there, I think, for a nice display piece. Next up, we've got a blue Snags, 100% complete. This seller also sold some mint on cards here recently that I've covered in other videos. And he also had some loose complete Last 17 that we're going to cover at the end of this video. But this was a beautiful blue Snags. Look how clean the boots were on that. Unfortunately, the torso had discolored on this one, which is common for blue Snags. So it's got that kind of greenish tint to the torso. And it's just a common kind of degradation issue with blue Snags. This one sold for $451 though. So if it wasn't for that discoloration, I would think that this one would grade very high, as is because of that discoloration that you can see there on the torso. I think at best it's going to be a 70 or 75, but look how clean those boots are. Really, really nice. So pretty good looking blue Snags though, $451 and change, and certainly would make a great display piece. Next up, we got an Unbroken Rains Patrol Dewback. So this is a tough one to find where the reins are not split or broken. That's just a common thing that happened. Those reins get dried out and start to crack and degrade. But this one was a pretty clean looking Dewback. $125 took that home. That's right in line with where we've seen this sell in past market updates for loose complete Dewbacks. So $125 is what to aim for on that. Here was a beautiful farm boy, dark brown hair, and this is kind of like the chocolatey dark brown hair. And this is a Hong Kong COO, I believe. Let's see if we can find a photo of the back of the leg. Of course I cannot. Let's see here. Here we go. Yeah, so this is the Hong Kong 2-line, and this is that very, very dark brown hair. It did have some kind of melt marks going on the left-hand side of the head there, but very desirable. These would appear, I think, on 41 back ESBs, and pretty tough to find and very, very pricey, very, very expensive. This one, because of the melt marks, most likely this one sold for 287 Australian dollars, or about 200 US dollars. So you can expect to pay quite a bit more than that for an AFA graded example. So this is a nice variant to hunt down, especially if you're okay with kind of some of the issues with the figure. But that's a beautiful dark brown haired Hong Kong farm boy. Next up is the Droid Factory R5D4, another one we've covered a few times, both graded and ungraded. And as is common, the sticker just does not stay on. This one's kind of been applied at an angle, and those stickers came inside the Droid Factory playset, so you're relying on whoever owned it to apply the sticker correctly, and this one was not, unfortunately, so it started to peel back a little bit. It still sold for 313 Australian dollars, which is 211 US dollars, so very desirable variant for R2. Next up, we've got a non-red bar and a red bar. So first of all, we got the non-red bar R5D4, very clean looking. Maybe just slight tint to the sticker there. That one sold for $51 plus $6 shipping. So that's kind of in line with a near mint minus, near mint plus R5D4 without that red bar on the left-hand side filled in. And as we talked about in my what to buy video, here was one where the seller did not disclose it, but you can see on the left-hand side there, that red bar is filled in. This is a very desirable variant for toy hunters, variant hunters. And even though it was not disclosed, I showed it in my what to buy video, so thank you again to Bill for pointing this one out. and it sold for way more money than I expected. I think I said in my what to buy video, you might get lucky. You might get it for $450 or $500. Well, it sold for $728. So Red Bar R5s continue to command massive, massive numbers, even ungraded. And, you know, this one's probably like a 75 plus, maybe a low 80, depending on who's grading it. You can see some scuffs and things like that on it, but it's pretty clean. I mean, it's a pretty clean example. I'm not trying to disparage it, because the paint on it's great. The head dome and all, or the head paint, all that kind of stuff. The paint on the legs is great. It just had some scuffs here and there, and but still $728 for an ungraded Red Bar R5D4. Next was a brown snake Yoda. This one sold for big money and was very clean. This is the gray head Yoda. You can see how gray that head is relative to the hands and the feet. Just another, I think this is, I don't remember which factory made this one. I think it's the Cater factory. Don't quote me on that. But the gray head brown snake Yoda is a pretty desirable variant, and it's very, very gray. And that one sold for $104.49, which I thought was a pretty good deal for kind of an off-the-wall variant for Yoda. Next up, same seller had this twin pod cloud car pilot. Look how yellow those boots are. Those boots are super clean. He had one little scuff on the hand there, but look how clean those boots are. Very, very nice looking example there. Maybe some factory overspray or something on his chin there, but that's a really nice looking cloud car pilot. And that one is accordingly sold for pretty good money, $66.89 plus $6 shipping. I've seen as high as $80 for an ungraded complete cloud car pilot, so that's a pretty good buy there. Next up, Leia Bespin. This one is the turtleneck version. This one sold for almost $70 plus shipping. That one was a very clean example as well. Next up was a Taiwan Biker Scout. Even ungraded, they can go for big money. Look, maybe just a little scuff on his face mask there. So not perfect by any means, but it's still a pretty clean example. And that one sold for 105 Australian, which is 70 US dollars. And you're going to probably triple that for a very high grade, loose graded example for the Taiwan Biker Scout. But for an ungraded example, $70, pretty good price. Couple of different vehicles here. We had the AT-AT Walker with the Empire Strikes Back packaging, as well as the instruction sheet. That one sold for $345 plus $75 shipping. So a little over $400 took that one home. And, you know, unfortunately, that's just the going rate for a loose complete AT-AT with non-repro chin guns. You're going to be paying over $300 every time. And that one sold for a little over $400. Next up, the Imperial Shuttle. Always another very expensive vehicle. This one looked very clean with the box as well. And that one sold for $500 plus $46 shipping. So about $550 took that one home. And again, I think that's kind of in line with market. I mean, you know, just the vehicle by itself, even not very clean, can sell for $200 to $250, even incomplete. So $500 with the box plus shipping. So about $550 with the box. And that's a pretty awesome vehicle. Some last 17 from that same seller that had the blue Snags. He had a number of different last 17 at auction, and they all sold for big prices, and they all look really clean. First of all was a Monoman with the coin, and that one sold for $255 plus $6 shipping. He also had the last 17 General Lando. This one was complete with the Black Palace Blaster. That one sold for $221 plus $6 shipping. He also had a Luke Stormtrooper. That's always a very desirable variant. He didn't have any close-ups of the weapon, so you're assuming that it's the correct kind of solid black blaster, but who knows? It looks solid black from the photos, but they're very far shot, so it's hard to tell. It might be the blue black. I can't tell. It might be the blue black. It's hard to tell, but the figure itself is in really clean condition. Maybe just slight yellowing to the arms and torso there, but that's just going to happen with these 40-plus-year-old figures. That one sold for $380 plus $6 shipping. Next up was the Han Solo in Carbonite with the coin, and that one sold for $209.50. So Han Solo in Carbonite just kind of continues to be very low in price. It's kind of hovering in that kind of price point. You know, I'd say in the low end you might get one for $175. Loose graded, that they're not going for much, like $250 to $300. So that one's a really nice example though, and $209.50 with the coin. Next up is the A-Wing pilot. That one continues to be big money. That one looks to be the correct black A-Wing blaster, and you know, that one looked pretty clean. There was maybe a little scuff on the silver paint apparatus there, but the hands pretty good. One little issue on his thumb there, but the face paint was really good on that one. So this is probably like an 80 grade, and that one sold for $294 and change. So plus shipping on that. So A-Wing pilots continue to be very, very expensive. Two different Yak Face sold. This one was from that same seller. That one sold for $611. And that's why I was pointing out that Cashel Retro Trader that had a UKG 85% for like $640. And, you know, to me, that's a pretty good price for an already graded one versus a loose, complete, ungraded one that sold for $611. So, pretty good buy on that one that I had in my What to Buy video a couple weeks back. And then here's another one that sold. I didn't look up the best offer accepted, but it was listed for $600. So, it seems like, anyway, $575 to $625 is the new going rate for a Yak Face complete ungraded. I mean, it's just crazy what the price has done on those. Just even in the last year and a half. I mean, I bought an AFA 85 and I thought I was overpaying for like $600 or so. And now that's the going rate for an ungraded one. Next up, we do have some bootlegs that sold, and I believe I had these in my What to Buy video. First is a 3rd gen Darth Vader with the cape and with kind of the weird saber, and it's kind of like it looks like a gigantic knife. And but this is a Polish bootleg saber with a complete Darth Vader with the cape, and it's always hard to find those capes. So I thought that was a really good buy, though. Only one bid, but that sold for $211. I would have paid that all day long. And then same with the Hoth Snowtrooper Polish bootleg, which is all silver with kind of an IG-88 gun. That one sold for 140 euros, which is 155 US dollars. The interesting one is this one, though. This one was over in the UK, and this is a 3rd gen Polish bootleg Boba Fett. Now, right before this auction was ending, there was like maybe 30 seconds left, and it was sitting at $60, 60 US dollars, plus another 55 US dollars. So let's call it about 110 US dollars with shipping. And then in the last like 5 or 6 seconds, it shot up from about 110 US dollars to 327 US dollars. So it seems like everybody waited till the very last second to bid on it, but it tripled in price in like the last 5 seconds of the bidding. But that was a really nice, clean example. It was beautiful condition. This is the light green chest armor, light gray body. There is a darker green chest armor with a dark gray body as well. That's a 3rd gen Polish bootleg, but really clean example. And again, that one sold for 327 US dollars plus another 55 US dollars in shipping. So big money on those Polish bootlegs still. Although there are, you know, you can find some deals out there if you're careful and just kind of widen your search to include Europe with your search parameters. You can often find some for sale either at auction or in buy it now situations in Poland, Germany, or in the UK, and you can find some pretty decent deals relative to what they charge here in the US on eBay for some of those. So anyway, just keep your eyes out. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you're new to the channel, welcome. Please consider subscribing. Thanks as always for watching, and I'll be back soon.